Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, Wise.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, WIZE. I have a very special guest. He is the only author, entrepreneur, and executive leader. Welcome to the show, Roy Osing. Hey, Roy.
There you go. Thanks, man. I appreciate being here. I'm grateful.
Oh, thank you for doing the show. I appreciate you coming on. All right, so Roy, let's just get into it. What is an audacious leader?
Well, an audacious leader in my world is someone who's really comfortable with discomfort, for one thing. It's a characterization that I realized a long time ago that it is kind of like around concepts of boldness, courageousness, stepping out rather than fitting in, being different as opposed to complying with the herd. It's wanting to be special as opposed to being okay with being average. It's an incessant desire to do something that nobody else is doing. And the genesis of this for me, quite frankly, was I needed to do it to survive in an organization that I was asked to lead, because it was such a traditional organization. We just had to break away from traditional stuff. And so for me, it was a tactic, a strategy that allowed me to actually achieve the goals that I was expected to achieve. And in this particular case, it was like starting taking an early stage company to $1 billion in sales over a relatively short period of time, which is, I still get goosebumps when I think about it, to be honest, because it was just an amazing journey. And the audacious piece of it was actually the instrument. I mean, it was targeted to light fires in people by doing things that were kind of out there, and it worked. It was just amazing. Like simplicity is the key, okay, to unbelievable success. It's not about complexity. People seem to think that you got to be complex, right, in order to do the right thing, and it's not the case. It certainly wasn't in my case.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you like that. You have to step out of the box. You have to make yourself uncomfortable to succeed at what you want to do. And that's kind of like me I had been wanting to start a podcast for over a year, and I made up all the excuses in the world not to do the podcast. I sound horrible. Who's going to watch the show? Everything. And it was just my self-doubt and everything. And until I finally decided to make myself uncomfortable and finally press record and actually use the recording that I made. Prior to that, it was just record, delete, and finally just building up the courage. I was on the phone. It was crazy because I was on the phone with my nephew, and I didn't have no proper setup for my mic to my mixer. I mean, from my phone to my mixer, so I had to hold the phone up to the mic, and you can hear him speak. And it's crazy it's crazy now because now look, I'm using StreamYard to have this conversation with you. But it was me making myself like, you know what? Let me just do this. Screw what I'm saying in my head and just do it. And since then, it's been 2 years now, and I've been having a great time. I spoke to so many amazing people, and being able to speak to you now, this is what I love to do, is just being able to have conversations with people and learn in the process. And so when I read your profile, I was like, okay, this is cool. This is somebody I can learn a couple of things from, and hopefully the audience can learn something from you as well.
Well, the interesting thing to me is, as kids, quite frankly, going through the school system, we were taught to comply. We were taught to follow the rules. We were taught to conform. And notwithstanding the fact, and sometimes I get criticized because I'm really tough on the education system, and that's fine. And I am, okay, because as a business leader, I look at education from a completely different perspective. I want to see people come out of the system prepared to be successful and help organizations perform beyond expected levels.
Yeah, because we're
Well,
it's more. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's like we're we're not taught to be business owners. We're not taught to be business people. We're taught to be consumers, basically.
Well, we're
Uh,
taught
uh,
to follow the rules. We're
yeah,
taught to follow the rules. We're taught
and yeah,
that formulas can decide everything. Like you
yep,
cannot formularize organizations, okay?
yep,
And the reason I say that is because I couldn't. And so you're looking at a practical guy here, okay? A guy that's, yeah, I've got an education, but quite frankly, my degree's in math and I've never solved a business problem using a differential equation, okay? What I've done is used education in terms of the capabilities and competencies that it gave me, which quite frankly amounts to, okay, I can solve problems. Okay, I got a head for numbers, right, which is useful in business.
yes,
But beyond that, I had to learn the audacious piece. I had to learn it in order to actually achieve what I wanted to. There's a lot of really well educated people that are not successful. And I'm not, I mean, it's important, yes, get the education, but there is other stuff. And what I'm trying to do in having these conversations with you is say to people that there is another dimension to success here. And it's based on simplicity, it's based on lighting fires in people, right? And it's based on stepping out, not fitting in. I mean, my mother told me, I can remember this, Roy, don't you ever come home, okay, with your teacher saying that you stood out. I don't want you to stand out in class, right? Your job is not to stand. Well, seriously, and I'm not unique in that respect because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of moms that feel uncomfortable when their kids are standing out from their classmates, etc. Well, when you have that sort of thing, concept, right, inculcated in who you are, it's pretty hard to break away from that. And so, I mean, my hope is that we can make an anno-inch worth of progress through conversations like this to get people interested and comfortable with discomfort. I mean, discomfort for me is a source of innovation and creativity. I mean, if you're uncomfortable about something, then you're driven from the right side of your brain, not the intellect, but the passion side, to actually do something about it. And I think we need to spread that word. Get your education and adopt passion. Okay. And here's kind of how you can do it in simple ways. And I've done a whole bunch of crazy things in business that basically worked. And I'm here to say that there's life in that world.
yeah. Oh man, what you just said. I agree with what you just said, man. It's crazy because you have like you have to be uncomfortable. You have to go out there and be yourself. That's why I enjoy my podcast. Allows me to be myself, and I've actually found something that I love to do, and I'm passionate about. If you would, I'm not a media person. I wasn't in radio or any of that. I'm a table games dealer, and like I said, I finally pressed record and stepped out of my zone and did something different. And wow, I found out I could do something. Like I found out I could actually do something different. Had I would just been stuck with the same mentality that, oh, I'm just gonna just do my job, go to work, and come home. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't. It was just a job. Like when I finally started podcasting, I found my purpose. I found something that I was passionate about. I found something that I could actually. I've actually started getting pretty good recognized on this platform, and to me, it's a great feeling. And it's not even, and I'm not even monetized. It's just the feeling that people are reaching out, and I'm having some amazing guests on, and knowing that I'm impacting people with my podcast. To me, that's like the ultimate achievement. To me, it's like, wow, this is awesome.
Well, it's like I do a lot of work with young professionals, mentoring them and so forth. And one of the biggest issues that they have is fear. Okay, and you've described it to me in your own way, but in a broader sense, It's like the fear of actually trying something. And it's much more comfortable thinking about the possibilities as opposed to actually trying it out to discover if it will work. They will say to me things like, well, I've got this job kind of like opportunity, but I'm not really sure whether I should go at that because I'm not sure whether it's consistent with my career plan, you see, because they've been taught that everything needs to be consistent with the career plan, right? So I would say, well, seriously, I mean, how are you ever going to find out? It's one thing to think about whether it's consistent. It's another thing to experience whether it is or not. So why don't you just go try it and see if it works out? That's the only way you're going to find out. So go try it. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. Try something else. So we need to create a world of triers. I mean, you guys like Michael Jordan, are you kidding me? How many games did he lose playing for the Bulls? Okay, because he was trying shots and trying shots and trying shots. Is that what people remember Michael Jordan for? No, they
they remember him
remember
for
him,
6 rings. Yeah.
this amazing player, okay, but he was a trier. He just happened to have a healthy dose of talent to go with the trying. But the reality is he tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and succeeded and tried and succeeded. That's kind of like a journey piece that I think is missing in the way that we cultivate our young people, right? It's more finite. It's almost like you need to be precise. You need to figure out how to apply this formula, right? And precision will make you successful. Well, I can tell you, precision did not make me successful. Okay. My business success was based on being imprecise in the beginning and executing an imprecise vision better than anybody else. And so that whole notion of it's okay to get it just about right is a real hard one for the academics and the pundits to kind of get their heads around. And I would often say to them, well, I understand that, but you're looking at somebody who built a business to $1 billion in sales through that lens, by being that person, by looking at imprecision and executing the heck out of it and discovering and finding our way right through that process. It works. Okay. And they say, well, I can't read anything about that. And I say, I know you can't. And that's our challenge here today, is to start the movement towards imprecision. Now, I'm not talking about imprecision in terms of brain surgery, okay, to make it really straight. I mean, that's not where you want to innovate.
No.
Right? And people will criticize me. Well, but I said, come on, give me a break here. We're dealing with life, career success, business success. You can't formularize that, guys. You need practical stuff. You need triers. You need to learn from people that have actually done stuff. And so that's kind of like where my space is. That's what I'm trying to do through conversations like this. You need to be different. You need to be imprecise. You need to sweat a lot. You need to be uncomfortable. So let's get the hell on with that.
Yeah, listen, you have to make yourself uncomfortable. You have to. It's like you have, and for me, it's I've learned so much because I've made mistakes and learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now the only thing is, don't make too many of them, because if that would indicate that you're not learning from the first one. So my rule of mistakes, I'd say to my people, okay, that's great. We're going to make mistakes, but one of the things we're not going to do, we're not going to make the same mistake twice. And the reason for that is that proves you didn't learn from it the first time. And so success and growth is a function of making mistakes, learning from them, and moving on to make other mistakes, probably, or not. Well, let's hope not. But hey, listen, the world has a way of delivering stuff to you, right, that you don't expect. So, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple conceptually in terms of what we need to do to be happy and successful. It really is.
I guess we might be just complicating stuff.
Yep. We do that because we believe that complication leads to success. And the reason for that is when we get a 98% mark in our math test, it's because we conformed 98 out of 100 times. That's what that means. In business, it's different. because there's nobody setting the rules except for the kind of like theoretical constructs of the world, et cetera, that are driving it. What sets the rules is performance. Okay, the performance of you in your world, in your career, or in your life, and the performance of a business cannot be predicted by academic doctrine. It simply can't. Okay. And the day that people actually understand that will be the liberating day, when we get used to exactly what you and I have been discussing, getting used to making mistakes, getting used to drawing outside the lines, right? Not inside the lines, getting used to non-conformance. I mean, hell, there's a business. Have you ever heard of a business called a Heart Attack Grill in Las
Yes.
Vegas?
Yes.
I plug them all the time. There's an example, okay, of a dude that's stepping out, right? When your best seller is a triple bypass burger and you have servers running around your restaurant dressed as nurses and orderlies, come on. I mean, that's outrageous.
That's genius. That's genius, though. That's just
See,
that's
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 exactly
something
right.
people would not think. That's something people would like. You would think they would you if you laugh at it because you think about all the medical things about eating greasy burgers and heart attacks and all that. But to someone use that as a tool to help grow their restaurant, it's amazing. That to me is
Well, and
genius.
you absolutely, genius and outrageous are actually two adjectives that describe successful businesses. And in my world, I call it be different or be dead, because that's been my mantra for 4 decades. Because that's the whole premise of my thinking is if you're not different, you're dead or soon will be. And all that is a different way of saying you need to figure out what your competitive advantage is. And even in a career, you need to figure that out. I had to figure out how I was going to be different from every person around me to actually covet the sorts of opportunities that I wanted to win at. And it was strategic and it was executed. And so, in this guy's mind, he's come up with just, you know, an idea that nobody else would think about. And so, I mean, I'm not an advocate of unhealthy eating, but I am an advocate of brilliant ideas, outrageous ideas, crazy off the wall ideas. And you got to admit the Heart Attack Grill falls into that category, and good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you.
No, I listen. I know when something that's genius. The way the way to market that right there,
Yep.
it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, triple bypass burger is the number one seller. Brilliant.
Yeah. But all right,
But
let's
there's
see.
not enough. Just one other word on it. There's not enough different thinking. And I'll give you an example. If you look at most organizations' statements as to why you should do business with them, right? Which is the question that organizations and people have to answer or ask, all right, in a world when there's so many choices, okay? Why should you do business with me? The problem that I see is most organizations rely on what I call claptrap. Claptrap is my description of words like better, best, leader, number one, right? Ahead of all of these kind of like subjective terms to describe what you think you're good at that mean absolutely nothing. Okay. So you're dealing with a customer who has a choice as to whether or not they do business with you. And you say, well, it's because we provide the best customer service. Are you kidding me? Who's going to believe that? Who says it's better? Who sets the rules anyway? So I had to fight through that claptrap and aspirations. I mean, there's a company in the US, actually it's worldwide, that says their mission is to save the planet. That's their competitive advantage claim. Okay, our advantage is that we are going to save the planet. Now, who's going to listen to that? Okay, it's an aspiration. And I'm not saying aspirations don't have a value. They do inside an organization, right? In terms of describing, the kind of values you want, but you never put that outside. So I've had to create my own solution. It's called the only statement. And you need to focus on this because you podcasters need to think about this as well. It's that I am the only one who, when you read that in my bio at the very beginning,
Yeah.
the only statement is what I had to create to describe why people should buy from us and nobody else. So it's like binary, man. It's like it either exists or it doesn't exist. It can be proven, etc. And it's worked so well. So I'm trying to get organizations and people to think about themselves in an only sense, as opposed to, comparatives and superlatives like better and best and so on and so forth. And I'm happy it's starting to catch on. People will say to me, well, I don't want to call myself the only Roy because it seems a bit arrogant. And I say, well, you need to get over that. The fact of the matter is it's accurate. If it's accurate, it's going to give you a tremendous advantage. And so figuring out what you are the only ones who do what you do is exceedingly important. I use it with my grandkids. I use it in my life. I used it in my career, and I use it in business. And you just read it out in terms of part of my bio. Exceedingly important. So hopefully we make some progress on the only statement, being the only ones that do what you do.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It does. And like you said, it's not, people would cringe for that because then they don't want to sound arrogant. They don't want to sound, but you have to think of it as you want to be the best at whatever you do. So
yeah, well, see, I would go even further. I say you want to be the only one that does what you do, because I don't know what better and best is. I don't know that. Like who defines it? See, that's the problem that we're into in society today, is like everybody claims to be the best. And therefore the adjective is meaningless now. Okay. You see what I mean? So if everybody's using it, it doesn't mean anything. But when you say that we're the only ones who blah, 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 people can now see it, and they can either believe it and challenge you to prove it, which nobody can do if you claim you're the best, because all of a sudden what's going to come out is your definition of yourself. Okay. You can't use that in a competitive world when you're trying to convince other people, all right, to view your podcast as opposed to somebody else's. I'm just using you as an example. And it's the same with me as a writer, right? And marketing books. I have to figure out a way how to stand out in a crowd, okay, of other people. And the way I do it is what you just read out. I'm the only guy out there promulgating audacious, unheard-of ways from a guy that built a business to $1 billion. Okay, I'm the only one that does that. I'm proud of it. I'm not afraid of the arrogant claim. I'm thinking if you think that's arrogant, that means you really don't understand it, or I didn't do a good enough job explaining it to you. And shame on me if I didn't. Okay. But that conversation is rich because people would say, well, okay, you claim that you did that. What did you do? That's exactly the conversation I want, right? Because now it goes to proof. Because people are saying, Roy, what did you do to get the $1 billion? All right, let's have that conversation, right? And because all those proof points can be shown and can be backed up with evidence. It's really hard when you say, well, we provide the best customer service, or we provide the best network in a telecom sense. Like all of a sudden, what they do is they go to engineering statistics. That's no proof. That is absolutely no proof. That's conformance to engineering design. That's what that is. And so from a competitive point of view, it's not very, very, very helpful. And I got to tell you, that's a marketing cultural shift we're dealing with here. Away from that into this only world that I'm trying to speak to and advocate that people move to. And it's powerful. I mean, you can see it when people click on it, it's really gratifying for me. But it's hard to do. It's hard to figure out what your specialty is. It's hard to figure out what you are special at. And I'm not saying be different, right, or be unique in just any way. I'm saying you need to be special and different in a way that people care about. In other words, you need to relate to the people that you're trying to serve in a unique way. Because being different just for the sake of being different, I mean, I'm not advocating that at all, because that's crazy, right? And I'm not talking about DNA stuff. I'm not talking about the way you're born. I'm talking about the things you choose to do. The things you choose to do to make a difference to people out there, right? To address what they crave, what they care for, what they desire in a way that nobody else does. My God, that's important today. When you look out there and see the sea of mediocrity and the sea of sameness, it's frightening. It's frightening. We need to break away from that mediocrity and general traditional average approach to the way we deal with things. We need to move to this singular focus on doing. It's like in a way, it's kind of like a Steve Jobs approach to the world. Though the fact of the matter is, there's not too many of him. Even when he was here, there wasn't too many of him. But what if we can move that great big bulge in the bell curve? What if we can move them 5 points towards the only? Do you think that would make a difference in the world? Oh my God. Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's our challenge, my friend. Our challenge is move them 5 points to the only and get them out of this claptrap stuff. Are you with me?
Oh yeah. Listen, to me, well, because what you're saying to me, I fully understand, and it makes sense to me. Because I'm for being different. I'm not, and like you said, not physical, and it's just being. To me, it's we don't truly allow ourselves to be ourselves, which is we are all different and unique. We're all different, and to really listen to what you're saying, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me because I know that I'm not like anyone out there. I'm not like I am the only one of me. I am me, and what I do is unique because no one does it the way I do it. And
well, see,
like you said,
that's the key. Now the challenge is you feel that in your heart. Okay, the challenge you have that we all have is how to express that in a way that's compelling and meaningful to the people that you're trying to serve. Okay, because it doesn't matter if the only person that knows you're a genius is your mom. That's a problem. You see what I'm saying? Of course she's going to think you're a genius. We need to figure out to pull that right out of your head, okay? Get it articulated and then use it, right? As use it out there as a way to communicate and gather friends. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to gather friends who appreciate what we do, who see that we are unique, who agree with us when we say we're special. And that's the key thing. There's too many people that are simply okay with feeling it. That's not good enough. You know, success and economic performance doesn't come from that. And people will say, well, it's not all about that, Roy. I say, yes, it is. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, it is. Because again, if the only one that thinks you're super is your mom, good. But we need to move on past that. We need to figure out a way in this complicated world to create transactions and relationships. And what I'm saying to you is, I figured that out. And it's all based on what you and I are just having a conversation about. Yeah. And some people are uncomfortable with it. Some people don't want to go. And that's fine. Peace, brother.
For everyone. Yeah, it's not everyone's not going to join the journey. They're going to be on the same journey. So
yeah.
I
do think you're special, but I think you're special in a way that you haven't figured out yet. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to draft something up for me and send me an email, and you're going to say, hey, Roy, is this it? And then we'll have a conversation.
All right, bet. We're going to do that. We're definitely going to do that. Oh, man. But Roy, thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on. But now is the time where I need you to plug away. Let people find out where they can find Roy Osing. Where?
Well, thank you. And listen, I'm grateful to have the chance to have the conversation and speak to your audience. I really am. You can come visit me at bedifferentorbedead.com. That's my website. And please do. I blog every week. So there's stuff on Be Different or Be Dead and audaciousness and all the stuff that you and I have been talking about today. There's a lot of content. I've been writing about this since 2009. Okay. So this is not new stuff. I've written 7 books. My latest one was published on May the 31st. And on my website, you can find about the audacious and unheard of ways I took a startup to $1 billion in sales, because that's my latest one, and it captures all of this stuff. You can read about what people are saying about my work if you want other perspectives, and it's very humbling, I must say. And I've got an email address, and I want to make this point. I'm happy to have a conversation with you on an individual basis, or anybody out there who wants to talk about being different, audaciousness, all of my stuff. What does it take? What are the challenges? How do I know if I'm doing it? What are the priorities? I'm happy to have that conversation one-on-one, because I know everybody approaches this stuff at a different pace, in a different way. And I'm happy to have that conversation. So reach out to me, and yeah, let's build a relationship. And if I can help you, I'm happy to do so.
All right, that's great, man. But don't leave just yet. We're gonna chat a little bit right after we end the broadcast. But all right, now it is time for shout outs. Big shout outs to the Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Love you, babe. Big shout out to our guest, Roy Osing, for coming through and dropping some jewels for us, man. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And
Very
as
welcome.
always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. And you know your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at @wise_b_blunt, Instagram at @wise_b_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/wise76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.